I don't remember how we discovered that. Do you remember how we discovered that?
Yes, I do.
How?
I saw a button and I pushed it. Greetings from Fairfield. We are Richard and Kendra, and we are restoring this cool old Victorian house. We found this old Queen Anne for sale on the internet and decided to buy it. So we moved from the West Coast to the cornfields of Iowa. So join us as we explore and restore this 1896 Victorian mansion.
Hello, and greetings from Fairfield, and welcome to the library. The library has had some of the most changes that we've found over the years in all of the rooms down here. Basically starting here, we've kind of already covered this, but just a quick recap for those that might have missed that video. I'll put the link for the Mantle video down in the comments or down in the description. What it looked like before we moved in, and before that owner, it looked like this. We believe that was probably put in sometime in the 1920s. And prior to that, we had our original mantle. So when we posted in the Mantle video, when we put this back, a couple of questions we got in comments were asking why it was such a different color from the golden oak in the room. And as a matter of fact, when Caleb came from Second Empire Strikes Back to see it, that was his first question as well. And so basically, it's the same, it has the same type of mantle in color and style in the connecting fireplace directly above us. And number two, we now believe that that all the woodwork in the room was painted white. So we always thought it was a little strange to go from this to the stacked brick sort of open fireplace concept in this room. And as we started stripping the wallpaper and getting into the time frame of this house, we started discovering some oddities. The headers above all the doors and windows were all kind of loose. The plaster was broken up behind it. It made it seem as if those headers had all been taken off at some point and reattached. And so we thought that was a little strange. And when I popped the trim off, which we're getting ready to put back on, it's currently drying down in the basement with some slack on it. We're going to be putting that up later today. On the back of one of the pieces of trim, it had the word Ball. Now, Ball is the second house owner who bought the house in 1913. So the wood, at least for the trim now, we know was changed during his time at the house. When we got to the bookcase had to be removed because we had a giant crack behind the bookcase. The wallpaper had ripped apart, and we had this big crack to deal with that went all the way down behind the bookcase. The bookcase was built into the wall. It was never meant to be moved. It was nailed into the floor, and they had nails inside the bookcase into the door casing along the edge here, which I used a metal detector to find where the nails were. There was probably, 10 of them. And then I came in with a tiny little blade and cut all of the nails between the bookcase and the casing just to be able to pull this out. And I basically kind of reversed the key at it just to be able to remove it from the section so we can, because we wanted to put it back. And discovered that before the bookcase, we had a radiator there. And then when we started taking the doors and hardware apart, we realized, I don't think you can see them, the stamp's on the other side. But we also have these really nice Japan finish hinges. Inside the lighting, there we go. Nice Japan finished hinges. And someone at some point had replaced the knobs with a more modern wooden knob. We found these down in the basement, and they were a perfect match to the bookcase. So we figured somebody had changed those out at some point because it really dated the bookcase. It made it seem more modern and not older. And so nice matching hardware now. When we took this thing apart, back behind the bookcase and on that back wall was just covered in soot. But we found this in almost perfect condition behind the bookcase. Mrs. Ball was the second house owner. The Balls were the second house owners that moved into the house in 1913. And that was found behind the bookcase. So when taking this apart, we discovered that the hinges on here were from a company, Sweetheart, and the logo that was stamped on the back side, that logo was only used between 1921 and 1923. So now that we have a date, things start coming into focus a little more, because now we've got a date. They wouldn't have replaced that wood trim to match the bookcase, because it was the same golden oak color that everything matches to. But we kept finding hints of things that were painted white. So more on the painted wood that had always been sort of baffling to us before we started piecing these other pieces. One of the first things we found was a matching set of pocket doors. Same, what do we got here? 6, 7, 8 panel pocket doors. Out in the carriage house, 4 of them. So this set and that set, but they were only painted on one side, this same kind of yellowish off-white color. And it's a little dark out here, so I don't know how well we're going to see it, but we have 4 sets of pocket doors. Like I said, they're only painted on one, and these are solid, so they're heavy.
Yep, not painted.
Eh?
That is darker than I expected.
But see, look at that pattern there. You can actually see the pattern better on that side than you can than the other side. Here, let's flip this around.
Oh wow! You can't do that. Careful.
Oh, holy cow, these are heavy. I'll get it. Ta-da!
Wow.
Now,
That is one heavy freaking door.
now check this out.
Barely touched it.
You see that?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
You see it? You see it?
Actually, now I can see it. I was like, it's a little dark, but yeah.
You can see the pattern, right?
The pattern matches. Oh my God. So they just used the same.
They just swapped out the doors
They swapped out the door.
because they didn't want to strip the paint.
Yeah.
There you go.
That is so crazy.
I told you, that room was painted white.
I believe you. I believe you.
Then when we talked to previous owners, this door here was also found in the carriage house. When they moved in, there was no door here. It was just open. No hinges, no lock. They found this door also in the carriage house, also painted on just one side. Same white color. So we had found these first, which was just an oddity that they were the same, just coincidence really, but it wasn't until we found this piece that we were kind of onto something, since the header here that has a a bead and barrel, the same bead and barrel, the same dental, and basically the same type of crown as up there, that we really knew that we were onto something in terms of this room being painted white with some little gold trim.
Hey, honey. What you doing?
It's hammer time.
Seriously, what you doing in the carriage house?
Well,
a little demo, a little breakdown, a little removal,
little demo, a little cleaning,
cleaning,
little spring cleaning.
Spring cleaning. Oh,
Spring cleaning.
yes, yes, that is dusty in there.
You want to see something cool though?
I would love to see something cool.
You see this? Come closer.
I'm coming closer.
Pretty old shelf, right?
Oh yeah.
Kind of cool, right?
Oh yeah, really cool.
It gets cooler.
It does?
It gets way cooler.
How much cooler does it get?
You're about to see. Because this is no ordinary shelf.
Is it an elf on the shelf?
It's not.
What?
This was a header.
What?
And it looks like it's a match to the library.
The one that had the fire in 1919?
I don't remember the date of it, but
Well, I
this
did.
is weird though. So it's all painted white, unlike the oak that's out there, but this is dental molding, this is rope. I think it's rope. And they're painted gold. All the notches are painted gold.
Wow.
What a weird thing to use for a shelf.
Well, they believed in recycling. Like, seriously, recycling. Upcycling. Reuse, reduce, reuse, recycle. And they did it in the 1920s.
So when we first started considering the possibilities that this room may have been painted, we found, I don't know, maybe a dozen of these things out in the carriage house that are the exact size of the door casings and window casings right here. I mean, they're a perfect match. So with everything, with all that said and done, I mean, so what do you do? I mean, we're here to restore it, but they changed it in 1920, in the 1920s. So what would you do? All right, so a couple of things left to do in here. We're just about finished up. We want to take this down and rewire it to put over in the phone box over in the dining room, because we had done this first before I came up with that. So we're going to drop the wire there and we're going to pull it up through the floor over in the phone. So there's enough room for both thermostats to actually end up in the phone box. So we'll just drop that other one right here, and we'll run both thermostats over here. And then one of the last things we need to do in both rooms, really, before we can kind of like call it complete, is get the trim back up there, which should be about dry. So it's hammer time. Well, now that we got this room mostly done, we won't be painting in here, despite the fact that it was painted in 1896. Someone went through a lot of trouble in the 1920s to unpaint it. So we're gonna stick with the unpainted woodwork. Got the bookcase back together, got all the trim back up, and that is one project down and 1,896 to go.